is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackowitz. This is the Kaged Review, and I'm going to review Cobra Kai, Season 1, Episode 5. The episode is called Counterbalance, and I think that's a very fitting title because it's really kind of a turning point for a couple of the main characters here. Now, I'm not going to get into the actors or the characters. I've talked enough about how I like them, and I think they're all doing a wonderful job with this series. This series really surprised me, and I really like where they're going with it. So I'm going to talk more about the storyline this time and a couple of the big changes here. You start out this episode with Miguel. This is the kid that Johnny Lawrence is training. So far he's been very awkward, not entirely sure of himself, not entirely good with everything. And it kicks off and it just shows him with such a drive to learn and such a drive to get better. And he's doing push-ups, and it shows him working his ass off. And it has him there with Johnny Lawrence, and he's learning to block and using one of those like tennis ball throwers, softball throwers, and he's throwing softballs with this machine at the kid, and he's having to learn how to block. So it's really establishing this kid is not going to give up on himself or his sensei. And he really has this inner motivation to do something and not be the victim anymore, which I think is cool. The other big thing that's happening at the beginning of this is you get to find out that Kyler, the girl that Samantha, the daughter of Daniel LaRusso, has been trying to talk to, since she found out he's an asshole and he tried to get a little too far and she punched him back into the chair. Now, he's spreading lies about her to everybody, to all the cool kids. He was saying that she was just talking a lot of shit about them and really trying to start a lot of friction. And of course, he said that he, gave him a blowjob in the theater. And so, it's like this thing is going around school, and of course, she starts hearing about it. And that comes up to the penultimate moment of the episode. We'll get to that in a second. The other thing that's happening is that Daniel LaRusso, because he found out that Johnny Lawrence drew a big dick on his billboard, is going to take action against him. And he's going to the landlord of the strip mall that Johnny's got a school in. And it's basically a setup to get the landlord to raise the rent. And so he feels accomplished when he actually does that, and he tells his wife, and his wife is like, "What's wrong with you, man? You've been different ever since Johnny Lawrence came back into your life, and you didn't give any thought to the other people in this strip mall." And she's like, "You're being really immature, and I don't want to deal with this. It's time for you to decide to grow up. I want my husband back," is basically what she's saying. And so that's kind of the part there where it's like, there has to be a turning point. And, being an adult, you just can't go around doing shit like this. So, he goes to the grave of Mr. Miyagi, and this was one moment we kind of all knew was coming in the show where, Pat Morita's already been dead for a few years, and so obviously you can't have him in the series, but they had a cool moment where Daniel was at his grave, and he's like paying his respects and saying, "I wish you were here, and you would know what to say to help me out in this situation." And so as Daniel gets in the car, they did this little flashback where he was remembering Mr. Miyagi talking about life having balance. And he says, the balance lesson wasn't just about martial arts, it was about life as a whole. And something clicked there with Daniel LaRusso. Now, really the penultimate moment in this particular episode was Samantha. She's not sitting with the popular girls anymore, so she goes to sit with one of her old friends who is this girl that's kind of big. She's been picked on the whole time, and nobody really wants her to sit with them, and everybody's talking about her supposedly giving Kyler a blowjob in the theater, and so she gets pissed off and confronts Kyler and asks why he's lying. Kyler, of course, is being a complete jerk about it and just feeding the lie and starts talking about her family. And that's when Miguel steps up. Now, Kyler has been messing with Miguel throughout this entire series. Miguel has had enough, though. He goes up and he's like, "Why don't you leave me alone? Leave everybody else alone." And so Kyler tries to start fighting with Miguel, except this time it has a much different outcome. Kyler just whoops up on, or I'm sorry, Miguel whoops up on Kyler and three of his friends, and changes the complete direction there. And so it was very cool. It was that moment that we were waiting for, where okay, Miguel's training is finally kicked in, and now he's able to exact revenge on the guys that have been giving them so many problems throughout, you know, the whole series so far. So it was a really cool moment. It was also a little hint of things to come, I think, because Samantha was really giving Miguel googly eyes after that moment. So it seems like that's kind of a direction they're going to take. And so now the counterbalance comes with now Miguel is finally able to stand up for himself and take care of himself. And I don't think he's going to be bullied anymore. You have Daniel LaRusso, who is essentially, you know, been way off track, and he's trying to find the peace he had with himself before Johnny Lawrence came back in. And Johnny Lawrence, he's been struggling this whole time to make rent and to find enough money to keep this place even floating. And after the incident with Miguel, he just has a flood of students show up at his dojo. So it's very cool. Very, very cool. I wanted to see all of these things happen, and there it is. Now, obviously, there's going to be complications because we still have another 5 episodes in this season. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens from here. But I will say that I have kind of been rooting for Johnny because he's been down and out. You can see that he's messed up a lot of things. And this does touch base on the relationship. Johnny's ex-wife, or whatever she was, and his son, you see them together, and the son is trying to get a night with his mother. His mother just wants to go out and drink and find some dude. And so you really feel bad for this kid because Johnny wasn't there and his mom isn't there. So he just feels completely abandoned. His mom lets him know that Johnny was actually in the bar talking to her about, you know, maybe possibly letting his son live with him for a while, as if he cared, in her words. And so his son actually goes to look for his dad. And there was a part where when Miguel told Johnny Lawrence about the school incident, you know, Johnny was all proud, and he decides to give his old gi karate uniform to Miguel. And they hug, and that's when Johnny's son walks up and sees them hugging, and apparently just felt kind of jaded and didn't really say anything, or, you know, nobody saw his son coming up. It was just, he was poking around the corner and saw that, and then decided to turn around and go the opposite direction, probably because he was pissed off because that's something that he has missed out on. So Johnny's son goes and gets a job at LaRusso Auto, apparently just to spite his father. And we leave off with Daniel LaRusso. He's setting up his old, like, dojo style area in his house, and, you know, practicing his martial arts. And the one thing I really never accepted in the original movies, and now even more so, is Daniel LaRusso is any kind of competent martial artist. You know, you got to have a martial artist to be in a martial arts movie and sell it. And Ralph Macchio, you know, he's fine as Daniel LaRusso, but he's not a martial artist. I never bought it in the movies, and I don't buy it now, especially. You know, just doesn't feel right. It really doesn't. If you know anything about martial arts, it does not sell very well. So that's where that is. I thought overall it was very good. I was very happy to see Miguel get over finally. I was very happy to see Daniel as a character, you know, realize that you need to come back and find your inner peace. And I was happy to see Johnny Lawrence finally get some paying customers. So there you go. That's episode 5. I thought it was very well done. I really like the interaction between the characters. I really like the way the story is building, and I am interested to see what they're going to do now, because honestly they could have dropped it right there and it would have been anticlimactic, but they could have. So I am excited to see where they go. So ladies and gentlemen, that's my review. I would say probably a 7 out of 10 for this one. I really like the character. I mean, it wasn't... I'm waiting for the action to get really going with this. That's one thing I would like to see a little bit more of. I mean, it is a shoot-off of The Karate Kid. But other than that, very good, very fun. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the review, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz, Kaged Nation, out.